Hare Krishna. So I welcome you all for the sixth session of the Nectar of Instruction. We are discussing about the text 3, part 2. So in the last session, we had discussed about the part 1, that is the 3 items that are favorable for the execution of the process of bhakti, which were enthusiasm, determination, utsaha, nishchaya, and dhairya, and patience. So today we're going to discuss about the remaining 3 aspects, those principles which are favorable for the performance of devotional service. Those 3 are tat karma pravartanat, sangatyagat, and satovritti. Yes. So that when practiced in totality and genuinity, they can bring you success on the path of bhakti. So today's title of the session is Dragged to Success. Yes. So bhakti is such an amazing process. Very, very amazing. Yeah, that once having begun, that the practitioner is automatically dragged to success. For example, let us say in material education. If you join a school, does that school guarantee a student that you will get a PhD? No. If you have to do your PhD, you have to finish your education to 10th standard. Then after that, clear your 10th board. And after that, you have to clear your +1 and +2, get good marks. And after that, you have to do your graduation. And every step you have to complete as a compulsion to go to the next stage, right? And that's your personal endeavor. It's not that because I have completed my intermediate, somehow I will get my PhD. No, if you want a PhD, you have to finish your intermediate, and also you have to apply for a graduation. And after the graduation, you have to essentially again apply for a post-graduation. Yeah. It's a separate part, if some of us who are doing your MTechs and all that, yeah, you have a choice whether to do your MTech or get into a job, right? There's no compulsion that you would be getting a PhD just because you've done your LKG. Yeah, and even after masters, you have to apply to actually pursue your PhD program, and finally you'll get a PhD. Okay, so this is the process of material education. But in the school of bhakti, what's the good news? If you have taken admission, your PhD is guaranteed. Yeah. So, in ordinary schools, there might be people who are high school dropouts, or they may be college dropouts. Yeah. But in the school of bhakti, even if you're a dropout, still you will be somehow dragged to attain your PhD. That is the perfection. So that is what is the nature of devotional service, the beauty of devotional service, the beauty of bhakti. There is this beautiful pastime of one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So he was initially very, very enthusiastic, and he was very attracted to the process of devotional service, to all the philosophy of ISKCON, the Devotees Association. He was totally enthralled, and he made rapid advancement in a very short span. But after some time, some of his old conditionings tried to call him back. So he was like, okay, let me pause, let me take a break. So he thought, we'll just put aside everything and go out for a holiday. Let me just forget, for some time, or let me just give up the process. And so without telling anybody, he left the ashram, and he went to the airport to book, to fly to some remote islands where nobody will see him. So as soon as he went to the airport, one devotee came and, it's like, please take the book, please take the book. He was giving him Bhagavad Gita. He was like, no, thank you. Okay. And he left. He sat in the air, in the flight. When he sat in the flight, when you sit in the flight, in front of you, there'll be some notes or, some advertisements. So when he opened and he saw that there was an advertisement of, Harinam Sankirtan. It's like, oh, what I want to run away from, it's just chasing me. He put it back again. Then he went all the way. And, he went into a hotel. He booked a hotel room. So, he went inside. He freshed up and very enthusiastically. He turned on the television to watch something. And as soon as he turned on the television, there was, the ISKCON Pravachan, Hari Katha that was happening. Oh my God. This thing, I want to avoid so much. They're just chasing me. And he just switched off the television and he went for a walk at the beach. So when he went to the beach for a walk, there were like massive devotees doing Harinam Sankirtan. Then he understood Krishna is not going to leave me. Forget it. He booked his flight back and again he joined the ashram. Yeah. So this is how sometimes Krishna, especially when he loves his devotee, he chases him all the way and brings them back. So that is why bhakti is so powerful, so potent, that once having practiced, once having begun, it will drag the practitioner all the way to perfection. No other process gives a practitioner this kind of a guarantee. Any other process, you speak about like material activity, or even other processes like Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, so much depends on the will of the practitioner. Ashtanga Yoga also, if you have to go to the next level, it depends so much on the practitioner. Yeah, he has to make a lot of endeavor to get there. And anywhere you're stuck, you're stuck. Yeah. But bhakti is not like that. Once having started, your success is guaranteed. Krishna will take care of that. So this is not for us to become complacent. This is for us to appreciate the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. And to remain more faithful, more confident. So if you let me screen share, I can screen share.
Yes, Maji, enabled.
So today we are discussing about Tattat Karma Pravartanat. That is the fourth limb. So what is Tattat Karma Pravartana? Karma means activity. Yeah. One should not be idle, but should be One should not be idle, but should be very enthusiastic about executing the regulative principles. That is Tattat Karma Pravartana. Neglect of regulative principles will destroy devotional service. So devotional service as such, how is it performed? It is performed through yama and niyama. What are yama and niyama? Yama means there are certain prohibitions, do's and don'ts basically. So yama means the don'ts. And niyama are the do's. So yama or the prohibitions are essentially the 4 regulative principles that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Yeah? The no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. And what are the niyama? Chanting the 16 rounds. And these regulative activities must be faithfully performed with enthusiasm. Yeah, so there's a lot of adjectives here. They have to be faithfully performed and with enthusiasm. Yeah. So these regulative principles of devotional service that we are following are very, very important. They are not to be taken ordinarily, or they should not be taken as a burden, or they should not be taken as an inhibition. Yeah, that is why these are called the regulative principles of freedom. Because if we follow this, they free us. They free us from the shackles of birth and death. They free us from the shackles of the material complexities that we otherwise get into. Yeah, they free us from the karmic reactions. Yeah, they free us from the our perpetual stay in this material world, which is place of misery. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur often says that this material world is not a place for a gentleman. Yeah, why? Really, there is no place for the heart in this material world, isn't it? You cannot be yourself. You cannot really be yourself. Yeah, there are so many laws of nature, yeah, which come and punishes. Yes, we're subject to the laws of nature. This is not a place where we are free. Yeah, where that spirit can soar to any heights it wants. No, this is not the place. This is a place of a prison house. How much can a person be happy in a prison house? He might make himself very comfortable by getting a lot of amenities, by creating probably an ambience within the place. But at the end of the day, is a prisoner happy? No, because he has had the experience of his own home. He's had the experience of the outside world, which is freedom. I mean, which is where there is a lot of freedom, where there are relationships, where there is satisfaction to the heart. He has an experience of the outside world. That is why a prisoner, though given every other facility, he longs to be freed. Yeah. So is the Jivatma. Yeah. At the heart, one hankers for freedom, one hankers for being set free and not, gripped. And that is why, we fight for freedom. Yeah, freedom struggle. Yeah, everybody wants a freedom struggle, especially women's rights. All these are, directed towards this innate desire for freedom. Yeah, and especially girls really fight that why are we so much restricted at home? Why are we so much restricted by customs? We want to be free. But what is real freedom? Real freedom is freedom from birth and death. Until we get that freedom, every other freedom is temporary. It is relative. And it can be more binding. Yeah. Some of the false struggles from freedom can actually bind a person even more to the complexities of material nature. Yeah, that's the way this world is made. So, Tattat Karma Pravartana, that means the regulative principles of devotional service, though they're termed regulative principles, they are regulative principles of freedom. Because simply by following these 4 regulative principles, one is freed from so many karmic reactions, so many complexities. Yeah. Actually, in fact, but some people cannot conceive of this. Like, for example, in London, one of a very famous professor, he was having a discussion with Srila Prabhupada. So he asked, what is your philosophy? Then Prabhupada said about the chanting of 16 rounds and following the 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. And the professor heard it. So if these 4 activities are not there, what else is left in life? Yeah. So this is like how much in the West, like of course even in India also, people are so addicted to this lifestyle. And that is, yeah. So, but that is not natural to the soul. That is not natural to the mind. So these regulative principles, when we follow, we are getting actually in touch with our true nature. That is why it frees us. It makes us happier. Yeah. So that is Tat Karma Pravartanas. And these regulative activities must be performed faithfully and with enthusiasm. It should not be taken as some kind of an inhibition or some kind of a burden. Yeah, understanding their importance in our life, one should practice. And not just 4 prohibitions, chanting of the fixed number of rounds. Yeah, chanting of the fixed number of rounds, whatever we have taken a vow, sometimes we might feel like it, sometimes we might not feel like it. Yeah, because that's the nature of the mind. The mind sometimes, says, yes, wow, what a beautiful day. Now everything is in order, sit and chant. But sometimes, mind is very, very disturbed. Then, we don't feel like chanting, then give up. No. Faithfully means that one should have the faith that no matter whatever be the condition I am in, simply by practicing, by sticking to my vows, I will achieve the perfection. Yeah, and it should be performed with enthusiasm. So when anything like is practiced with these kind of adjectives added to your practices, and the whole process becomes Kevala Ananda Kanda. Yeah, the process of bhakti is so beautiful that the process is also full of bliss and happiness, and the end also is full of bliss and happiness. Yeah, that's the beauty of bhakti. It's a joyful process to perform. Yeah, we don't have to do any severe austerities, like starve ourselves or starve the torture the body, or just leave the place and just imagine the kind of tapasyas performed by Hiranyakashipu and all of them, so hardcore. We don't have to do all that. Now, how much imagine Hiranyakashipu who's doing tapasya, and ant hill formed around him, and all the ants ate away his flesh and bones. Nothing was left. It was just a mere skeleton. That's what he became. But he tolerated all that. And without any his tapasya was so intense that Brahmadeva was pleased with his tapasya. Why is it underlined that Brahmadeva is pleased? Because Lord Brahma himself, he performed tapa at the beginning of creation. So he knows what tapasya means and what it takes. And the kind of tapasya Hiranyakashipu performed, Lord Brahma itself. So we cannot do all these big things. We don't have to do all these big things. All we have to do is these two small things: yama, niyama. Follow the 4 regulative principles and chant 16 rounds. And whatever you're doing, do it with faith and do it with enthusiasm. Yeah. And what is our faith? That will show in the time of crisis. When everything is going on well, that is fine. But especially when things are going against our expectations, or things are not happening in the way we want them to be, or we are going through a turmoil in life, we are going through a bad phase in life, even then, am I faithful to the process? Am I sticking to my commitments? Yeah. So that is what actually defines, how faithful we are to the process. So this is Tat Karma Pravartana. The next aspect is Sangha Vyaga. So Tat Karma Pravartana is about following the process of bhakti with faith and enthusiasm. Yeah, the process of bhakti is, the yamas and the niyamas and the various limbs of devotional service. Nectar of Devotion explains there are 64 limbs in bhakti. So following all of them with faith. So they all come under Tat Karma Pravartana. Fifth aspect is Sangha Tyaga. What is Sangha Tyaga? So once somebody has asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that how do you define a Vaishnava? Who is really a Vaishnava? Yeah. So Mahaprabhu has answered this question a couple of times in different ways. But one of the answers he gave is Asat Sangha Tyaga Yei Vaishnavachara. It is, a Vaishnava is the one who gives up the association of worldly people or non-devotees. This is the definition of Vaishnava. Yeah, one who actively gives up the association of worldly people or non-devotees, that is a Vaishnava. So how do we accomplish this? In a world where we're saying, what is the population of Vaishnavas in the entire world? Not even 1%. Srila Prabhupada once said in one of his lectures, even if 1% of the whole population becomes devotees, whole world can be liberated. Yeah. So what is 1% of the world's population? Some of you who are good at mathematics, you can just share the statistics with me. What is 1% of total world population? Yeah. So I think 6 billion is the world population right now. And so what is 1% of 6 billion? So you can calculate and let me know. So when we are living amidst so many people, oftentimes they're not devotees. Then how do we practice these principles of Sangha Tyaga? Especially when we're working or when we're studying, how do we practice Sangha Tyaga? Yeah, so we had a short discussion about this in the last session. Like one should learn the art of living in this world and not of this world. That is when we are in the association of non-devotees. At the same time, there is one more very, very powerful practice. That is, mold your life in such a way that you get to be with devotees more and more, especially the Sangha where the practice of bhakti is very intense. Identify those communities or identify those people or identify those centers and somehow get in touch with them and try to live with them. And of course, yeah, online, if you're unable to move out of your house, online communities, get in touch and spend more time with them, hearing from them, sharing with them, making friends in such circles. So, I mean, like our group, which we have for the past how many years? I think 2020 we started during COVID period. From then onwards, like our whole Bhaktilata care, it has expanded so much. We have so many groups, and then so many girls enthusiastically join and they make friendships and such nice bonds and relationships. And they're there for each other, they take care of each other. Yeah, and whenever in times of needs. Yeah, and it's a beautiful community. So when you have these positive devotee friendships, then then your bhakti is taken care of. It's very nourishing. Like Srila Narottama Das Thakur in this beautiful bhajan said, Tandera Charana Seri Bhakta Sanevas, Janama Janama Hoi Yehi Abhilash. One should live in the company of pure devotees. Then it becomes very easy to execute the process of bhakti. Like, for example, where I am living, this is a beautiful community of devotees. I live in a township. In this township, there are at least 100 devotee families living. And every day, I have the morning program that I attend. It's just a 5 minutes walk, not even 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes walk. It's right beside my home. And so many devotees, gather together, perform the morning Mangalarati. We sing the beautiful bhajans and the Tulsi Arati and sit together for Bhagavatam class. And it's so amazing to live in the community of devotees. Yeah, every day offering base respects to Vaishnavas. There's so many facilities to surrender service to Vaishnavas. There are always devotees come together and chant the glories of Lord and plan some services, plan outreach programs, and bring new people and expand the whole vision of Prabhupada at a very different level. So it's so amazing to stay in the community of devotees. Our whole lives engagements change, so much. And we don't miss anything. Like, for example, every time here in the community of devotees, there is somebody's marriage or somebody's engagement or somebody's birthday. Even my daughter is, so happy. Like, she has her own bunch of devotee friends. They play with their Krishna dolls. Yeah, or they're always, wearing their gopi dress, and they're always in the consciousness of bhakti and service to the Lord. Even the games they play is like that. So at every level, they, as children, they're taken care of. As grihasthas, everybody's taken care of. As elderly, Varishta Vaishnava, the old people are taken care of. Yeah. So there is such beauty in Sangha. There is such beauty in devotional communities. So if you can ever access or get to even visit such devotee communities, it is so amazing. And practice of bhakti becomes very, very joyful, very practical, and very soulful. Yeah, because it's so much dependent on the community that we live in. We are so much affected by it. We're so much impacted by it. And if we get to live in the community of devotees, it is such a great blessing. Yeah, and by that, the Sangha Tyaga is automatically achieved. Yeah, by living in the company of pure devotees, the avoiding of, like, see, it is said that by how do you leave the direction of west? By traveling towards east. The more you're traveling towards east, the more you're leaving west. So the more you're living in the company of devotees, the more the asat sangha is left. So this is about, like, how we can form, or how we can make our lives. We can orchestrate our lives. One thing one has to be very careful, especially when living in devotee communities, is that one should avoid Vaishnava aparadhas. Yeah, they are like mad elephants which destroy the field of our bhakti. In fact, like, if a person is committing Vaishnava aparadhas, Krishna actually removes that person away from the association of devotees. I have personally seen in my own life, there are devotees who have been practicing, but those who gossip and those who are into this, backbiting or hypocritical or always speaking ill of another Vaishnava, I mean, over a period of time, they're nowhere in bhakti. And, somehow they're out of association. It's very sad. I mean, we should pray for such people. But, this is how it is. And when one is sincere in one's practices, Krishna somehow provides that association. So this is about Sangha Tyaga. So if one lives in the association of devotees, there is little chance of associating with non-devotees. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It becomes a very beautiful lifestyle of loving exchanges and being together for a purpose, and for good times and bad times. Yeah, I mean, I see that in the community where I live, people are there for the good times or bad times. Whenever they're going through struggle, somebody is going through health crisis, there are people to support them. Yeah, and somebody has left the body, there are people, to chant for them. Yeah, so many amazing devotees. So that is Sangha Tyagat. Yeah, so Sangha Tyaga is accomplished by learning to live in the association of devotees. Okay, the last aspect of the day is Sato Vritti. Very, very important. So what is Sato Vritti? Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So this the footsteps of previous acharyas, very, very important. So that is the way of bhakti. The way of bhakti is to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, the path that has been laid down by them. In the beginning of this very session, Prabhupada made a very powerful statement that devotional service is not sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Yeah, when does it become a sentimental speculation? When we concoct our own process. Yeah, like recently, His Grace Radheshyam Prabhuji was telling a very wonderful example. Once one lady, a very old lady, she came and visited the temple, and she was told about the process of chanting. So she said, oh, I chant with my every breath. With every breath that I take, I chant the holy names of God. Then she's like, oh, that is really wonderful, and appreciated her. But they also spoke about the importance of Sankhya Purvaka Narmagani Ratibi Kala Vasani Kritau. Yeah. So the 6 Goswamis also have chanted Sankhya Purvaka. That means they have chanted all the beads by counting the number of rounds. So they have explained all this to this old lady. And she was like, okay, let me see. Yeah. Then this old lady then went home. And after 2 weeks, she came back and she really thanked all the devotees there. She said, all this while I thought I was a devotee. But when I really started chanting on the beads, I understood that, no, I have never really chanted. I was only imagining that I'm chanting with every breath. No, when I counted, no, it was so meager. Yeah, I'm struggling to complete 16 rounds. Yeah. So what gets measured gets managed. Yeah, so this is the process that has been given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Chant 16 rounds on the beads. Yeah, not just counting on fingers. Yes, this is sometimes emergencies. Sometimes it is not counted also. Yeah, so one has to chant on beads. Follow the process faithfully. Whatever has been given, follow it as it is. Why do we have to concoct? Yeah, and people make other concoctions also. Like, why only this mantra? Why not some other mantra? Yeah, I mean, whichever mantra you chant, you will reach the same destination. Why this way? Why not my way? Yeah. So such concoction oftentimes results in, not oftentimes, every time. If you concoct, the result also is a failure. Yeah. The process of bhakti is a bona fide process, and that process is given to us by acharyas. The entire morning program that Srila Prabhupada has given, it is so scientific. Yeah, as I said, there are 64 limbs of bhakti. Simply by attending the morning program and chanting your rounds, you have touched at least 50 principles of those bhakti just by attending the morning program. Can you imagine how potent it is? Yeah. So that is sato vritti. Sato vritti means faithfully following the process that has been given to us by the acharyas. So there are some people, sometimes they claim that, oh, I have seen Krishna. Oh, I have gotten, like I have dreamt about Krishna. I have an experience with Krishna. There are some people who claim like this also. I know one girl, she used to come and she used to tell so many things. And later I realized, that she has a serious psychological problem, which is thinking is devotion. Yeah. So, of course, because of the psychological issue, somehow she's chanting a lot of rounds. I don't know if that number of rounds that are counted are realistic. So when somebody went and told Prabhupada, yesterday I had seen Krishna. Like Prabhupada said, our process is not to somehow see Krishna. Our process is following in the footsteps of 6 Goswamis and search for Krishna. He Radhe Brajadevi ke Chalalite, He Nanda Suno, Shri Govardhana Kalpa Pada Patale Kalindi Vane Ghoshantam iti Sarvato Brajapuri Kedaya Mahavipalav Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuntav Shri Jiva Gopada. Hey Radhe, hey Brajadevi ke. This is what Goswamis are doing. They are like 24 hours absorbed in Krishna Bhakti. They knew nothing else. Yeah, they performed such austerities, and then body, mind, and soul. They are at the level of, seeing the Leela of Krishna in their vision. But what is their mood? Hey Radhe Brajadevi ke. Oh Srimati Radharani. Oh Krishna. Hey Nandasuna. Kuta, where are you? Yeah. Shri Govardhana Kalpa Padapatale. They're searching. And the Padapa means trees. Yeah. At the trees of Govardhan and at the Kalindit, on the banks of Yamuna, they're searching for Radharani and Krishna. Goshanta. It is in their footsteps. Yeah, and that is Sato Vritti. Not artificially claim that, no, we have just a second, there is a power cut. Yeah. So I don't know how much, I hope I'm visible. Okay, as long as wait a minute, yeah. So this is about Sato Vritti. Sato Vritti is following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. That means not giving into mental speculation. There are 2 diseases of the mind. Yeah, there are 2 enemies of the mind. What are these 2 enemies of the mind? One is mental speculation. Second is sense gratification. Yeah, these are the very big obstacles on the path of bhakti. One is sense gratification and the other is mental speculation. The mind is always contemplating on these two things only. Either how to gratify my senses or I will be speculating something else. So this is the pastime of the mind. So to calm that kind of a mind, one has to faithfully and strictly follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So how do we actually practically follow in the footsteps of acharyas? So I can share with you some practical tips. One is, offering prayers to the whole Guru Parampara. Yeah, especially early morning when you wake up, it's very auspicious to remember the Guru Parampara that you are connected to. This is what is called their Pratah Smaraniya. Yeah, early morning when you wake up, the first thought is offer your respects to the entire Guru Parampara by reciting their Pranati mantras. Yeah, one should learn these Pranati mantras by heart. Yeah, and offer your Pranati mantras. Let it be the first thing that you do. Yeah, and that's why if you see Mangalarti, what happens in Mangalarti? The first thing that you do is you offer Guru Puja. You sing Guru Ashtakam. Yeah, you wake up, you're facing the Lord, you're seeing the deities. But what are you singing? It's actually the glorification of Guru. Even for worshipping Tulsi Maharani, you close the altar. Yeah, Tulsi Rani is not worshipped in front of the deities of Radha Krishna. But Guru is worshipped in front of Radha Krishna. Yeah, so that is the position of a spiritual master. Yeah, and recently I was telling about Shabari. Shabari was in front of Lord Ram and he asked, "What do you want?" She said, "I want to go back to the place of my spiritual master and serve." Yeah, that is the position of Guru. So one has to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas who expertly fill every moment of time with Krishna conscious activities. Yeah, so especially why such a program has been given is they have perfected their lives. They have perfected their lives. So just by understanding how they lived and what were their activities, one can actually, following in the footsteps, as I said, morning offering Pranati mantras. Second is by reading biographies. Yeah, you can read the Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita. Yeah, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life story. Then, the seventh Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life history. You can hear about the life and pastimes of all the six Goswamis. So all these previous acharyas, when you hear their life and how they spend their lives and how they perform devotional service, you actually gather a lot of inspiration, a lot of connection, and you also get to know how, and that is a short way of actually following in their footsteps. Yeah? So one is offering the Pranati mantras, then offering the puja, the Guru Puja, the Guru Ashtakam, then, by reading their biographies, by hearing about their biographies, and also observing, fast appearance day or disappearance day. Yeah, and like cooking something which they like. So these are all the ways of following in the footsteps. And especially, most important of all this is, every acharya leaves behind their instructions. Like, for example, if you see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there's a beautiful book called Bhakti Vinoda Bani Vaibhava. Yeah, that is a book of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teachings. Similarly, there are also there are books written which have the teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And there are also of course, the teachings of Srila Prabhupada are very much there in his books. So when we are reading their teachings, yeah, so one thing is to read and understand their instructions and practice them in our real life. And second thing is to perform these activities of like offering the Pranati mantras on regular basis, offering puja, offering worship, understanding their biography and their life story. By doing all this, you will be empowered to follow their instructions as well. Yeah. So this is what is Sato Vritti, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas, and who expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna conscious activities. It's nectarian actually. Every life history you hear of either Srila Rupa Goswami or Sanatan Goswami or Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Baladev Vidya Bhushana, all their life, and even, Sripad Ramanujacharya, Yamunacharya, the great saints of even other sampradayas, they are so nectarine. So one should invest time in hearing about the life histories of these great acharyas. And in fact, if as pregnant mothers, if they read these biographies of great acharyas, it is so auspicious for the child they're carrying in the womb. All these qualities that you're reading, they are transferred to the child in the womb. It is so potent. Yeah. So that is Sato Vritti. Sato Vritti is following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. And by doing Sato Vritti, our success on the path of bhakti is guaranteed. There is no deviation. Even like, let us say, when we are offering prayers, when we offer the prayers that are offered by previous acharyas, yeah, like, Kunti Devi or even Srila Prabhupada's prayers, Srila Narottam Das Thakur's prayers, when we offer those prayers, they really please the heart of the Lord. Yeah, because of two reasons. Those prayers have made it to the books and Bhagavatam because they have already pleased the heart of the Lord. Yeah, so simply by repeating them, we are also pleasing the heart of the Lord. And second thing, we are following the principle of following in the footsteps of Mahajans. So because of these two reasons, the recitation of the prayers by previous acharyas is very, very potent form. It is Sato Vritti. Okay, so these three processes are very, very powerful. Yeah, Tattat Karma Pravartana, that is following the processes of devotional service with faith and enthusiasm. The next one we spoke about is Sangatyaga, that is learning to avoid as much as possible the association of non-devotees and doing the positive act of, searching out for communities and gatherings of devotees and take an opportunity to spend time with them and nourish yourself in the path of bhakti, in the process of devotion. That is Sangatyagat. Yeah. And Sato Vritti. Sato Vritti is following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. And who are those acharyas? Who have expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna conscious activities. Actually, 9 features of Bhava Bhakti. Yeah. 9 characteristics of Bhava Bhakti. Yeah, the Bhava Bhakti comes just before Prema Bhakti, right? So there are 9 characteristic features that are given. Of these 9 characteristics, one of the characteristic is Avyartha Kalatva. Avyartha Kalatva means a devotee never wastes even a single moment, yeah, without being connected to Krishna. They even sleep because they have to honor this body that is actually which is a medium to perform bhakti. They sleep also in that consciousness. Yeah. So that is a feature of Bhava Bhakti. Yeah. You see, great devotees. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, if you see his timetable, will faint only. He used to hardly sleep for 2 hours in a day. Yeah. And Srila Prabhupada himself, he was awake, after all the preaching that he's done in the morning, after all the traveling in that age, every night he was awake till 12 and 1 to do his Bhagavatam translations. Yeah. And every morning up, he was right there for Mangalati at 4 a.m. Now, can we ever complain that, we cannot attend Mangalati? So by ordinary, understanding, we cannot conceive of this. How can a person do that? At the age of 67, 68 or 70s, sleeping at, 1:30 in the night, waking up at 4:30 again, waking up at 4 again and attending Mangalati. This is on a daily basis. Yeah. So they're empowered because that is called Bhakti Shakti. Yeah, when we're performing devotion, we're also empowered with Shakti or devotion. That is Sato Vritti. So engagement in the devotional service of the Lord is the life and soul of living entity. It is a desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. Yeah. So this bhakti, following this process of bhakti is a very life of a jiva. Actually, it is the original nature of the jiva to be always engaged in bhakti. To the degree we are finding it odd to accommodate in our life, to that degree we are actually away from our real nature. Some of us ask, oh, we have these studies to do, that job to do, this to do, that to do, so we have no time for bhakti. That means to that degree, to the degree we are giving bhakti the least priority in our life, to that degree we are away from our original nature. Yeah. So complete confidence, and one should have that faith. Yeah. That devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal. Any other perfection you take, that will eventually leads one to dissatisfaction, restlessness. So only by performing devotion, I will attain all perfection. To have this faith. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada describes this is faith. What is faith? Simply by following the process of devotional service, I will attain all perfection. To have this faith is not ordinary. Yeah. So to get this faith, one has to associate and hear from pure devotees. Next, devotion. Yeah, so this is the tagline of the day, the conclusion of the day. So devotional service is so pure and so perfect that once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. So there is this one other beautiful example of his, Hayagriva Prabhu. He is also a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, he did, if you read Leelamrit, actually, in initial days, he has done a lot of service to Prabhupada. Yeah, in terms of helping him with translations, and because he was a professor in English. Yeah, so he really helped Prabhupada a lot at that time in the initial days of Prabhupada's stay in America. But later on, something happened. He got, for some reason, he got distracted away. Yeah, but he was there with Prabhupada even when Prabhupada went to Vrindavan and all that. So some of the disciples of Prabhupada came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, this is what we heard about Hayagriva Prabhu. He's no longer there in our movement. And you know what Prabhupada said? Because he has once chanted pure holy name in the dham of Vrindavan, yeah, he will attain perfection. Said because he has chanted once the holy name, pure holy name, in the dham of Vrindavan, he will attain perfection. Now, it is for us to understand what is actually chanting pure holy name, that we cannot understand. Yeah, only a person who is blessed because of service to the spiritual master can chant the pure holy name. And because of his entire service for Prabhupada, he had this mercy because of which he could chant the pure holy name in Vrindavan. And that Prabhupada said that will take care of, that will give him the perfection of life. So similarly also, there is one more devotee, whom Prabhupada sent to preach in a different country, in a Malaysia country, Philippines or some country. Yeah. So just by taking the instruction of Prabhupada, this disciple went and he began to preach. But the preaching had no success, not much of success. So, but he tried his best, but it didn't succeed. So eventually he somehow fell down. Yeah, he got into material association, he fell down and he got into all the materialistic ways. So after some time, he was, he had a massive, he was struck with some kind of a massive disease, some cancer, and he was about to die. Yeah. And when he was about to die, like some of the disciples of Prabhupada were around him somehow. So it was his last moments of life. When he was, in the hospital room and he was just on the bed, lying on the bed. Just before he left the world, last thing he spoke was, Prabhupada has come to take me. These are the last words he said. So this is what, is actually, once having begun, you are dragged to ultimate success. Prabhupada has taken care because by his instruction, he went to preach in a foreign country. And because of, Maya or something, he fell down. But Prabhupada was a spiritual master. He took the responsibility. And when at the time of leaving his body, Prabhupada personally came and took him. Prabhupada came means it's not Prabhupada in person. By that time, Prabhupada has already left the world. Prabhupada in his spiritual body, he came and took the disciple in his spiritual body. So this is the responsibility a spiritual master takes for a disciple who has sincerely served him, especially who has taken the risk to serve his instruction no matter what. Actually, if you read Leelamrita, it's full of such amazing pastimes of Prabhupada and his disciples. You have to see what kind of fire they used to have to serve Prabhupada. Once, Prabhupada was traveling in a train. So when he was traveling in a train, Yamuna Mataji was always eager to serve Prabhupada, food. So Prabhupada was not well during that time, and Prabhupada requested for pepper rice, rice that is made of pepper. So Yamuna Mataji immediately went towards the pantry. So when she was going to the pantry, she asked the person in charge, can I cook here? That person said, no, whatever you want, we will only cook and give. We cannot allow you inside the pantry. Pantry means, right, in the train, there is one separate compartment where the entire cooking takes place. So that person said, no, you're not allowed inside. So she requested him, she begged him twice, thrice, please let me in. I will take care of the cooking. Then he said, no, you're not allowed. Then, what Yamuna Mataji said? If you don't allow me inside, I'm going to jump off the train. And she really meant it. So, he got scared. Oh my God, she's going to come into this side. No, Mataji, please come. Please come and cook. Then Yamuna Mataji went into the pantry and, she cooked hot rice and, pepper, with all that seasonings and she made and she went and gave it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was so pleased. He had that and he said, very nice, pepper rice. So in this way, Prabhupada's disciples were like ever really enthusiastic to do anything to please Prabhupada, just to see the smile of Prabhupada. Please, if you have time ever, please read Leelamrita. It's full of these beautiful, beautiful stories of how much the disciples of Prabhupada loved him and they were willing to do anything for him. So amazing, so beautiful. So, and if one serves a spiritual master with that kind of a zeal, spiritual master takes care of that person. No matter if you're unable to sustain yourself in bhakti. Acharyopasanam, very, very important. So the nature of devotional service is it is ahaituki apratihata. It is not the effect of any mundane cause, nor it can be terminated by any mundane cause or permanently curtailed by material interruption. What is ahaituki? Ahaituki means unmotivated. What is apratihata? Uninterrupted. Yeah. And only when the soul performs a devotional service in this way, such a soul is totally satiated. Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhakti adokshari ahayata yayatma suprasidati. Yeah. So that is a supreme dharma of supreme engagement is to perform devotion service that is ahetuki, that is causeless, that is unmotivated by any material desire and uninterrupted by many material obstacles. And when such devotional service is performed, that complete yayatma suprasidati. Prasida means to be completely satisfied. Yeah, that's the nature of devotional service. So to the degree one performs bhakti with this mood, that is not expecting anything in return for the devotion performed. Yeah, and carrying out the devotional service no matter what obstacles come in our life, then such devotion is the true devotion. That is called pure bhakti. That is why Prabhupada uses this word unalloyed devotional service in many of his books, whenever he describes about devotion. So I'll tell you one more example. Once one devotee went and asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I'm performing so much service, but still I'm not getting any inspiration. Then Prabhupada said, that means your bhakti is motivated. Yeah, and Prabhupada gave an amazing example. He said, a person is eating food, but if he's not getting the nourishment, what does it mean? It means that food that he's taking is being eaten away by some worms in the intestine. He's not healthy. Similarly, you're performing bhakti, but that bhakti is tainted by desire for, recognition, desire for profit, desire for adoration, desire for distinction, or, all these kind of upashakas of Bhakti Lata, weeds in Bhakti Lata. They choke up one's devotion. So externally, we might be performing many activities, but we are not growing in devotion. Why? Because that bhakti is motivated by material desires and interrupted by any inconvenience. So such a bhakti does not really satiate the heart. There's a beautiful bhajan of Annamacharya. Bhavamulona bahyamunandu Govinda Govinda ani pogadave manasa. Yeah. Bhavamulona, in your bhava, that is when you're within your heart, and bahyamunandu, externally. So internally and externally glorify the Supreme Lord. So internally glorify with your bhava, with your pure sentiments of devotion for Krishna. And externally through your activities, perform them simply to glorify Krishna. This is not hypocritical. Yeah, sometimes externally we do activities, that is Swami Karyam, but internally we have a Swakaryam. I want something out of this. Yeah. So this is not devotion. Devotion does not satisfy our heart. It's simple. See, Krishna is a person. He's a person. See, His Holiness Devanand Swami Maharaj wrote a beautiful book called Bhakti Bhava, the emotional dynamics of a devotee. Such a superb, excellent book it is. So in that book, Maharaj wrote a very wonderful example, practical example. See, imagine one boy and girl got married. Yeah. And 1 year after the marriage, the boy just opened up the heart and he said, I actually married you because you're very rich. How will the girl feel? She'll feel so heartbroken. Yeah. Because you have married me because you're expecting something from me. How bad they will feel. Yeah. Or the same person says, I love you for who you are, for what you are. And I love you no matter what. Imagine if you're in the place of the girl. How would you feel in the first situation and in the second situation? And Krishna is exactly that person. You're doing bhakti, but with some motivation. How would he feel? But you're doing bhakti simply because you love him. How would he feel? So this is simply the dynamics of bhakti. Yeah. So that bhakti is ahaituki. It is causeless. There is no reason why one has to perform bhakti. It is our original nature. Yeah. And to the degree it has to perform apratihata, uninterrupted. So many obstacles come in the path of bhakti. You read the life history of any saint, anybody who has made it to the books, their lives are full of obstacles, full of difficulties. Yeah, because they have crossed them over, they made it there. Yeah. So that is what is the nature of bhakti. Ahaituki apratihata. So this is the last sentence. There are certainly many good, and simply by performing devotional service, one acquires all good qualities. Yeah. Whereas the non-devotees who even apparently have good qualities, they are not sustainable because they're simply on the mental platform. So by performing bhakti, a person is also automatically going to develop many good qualities. Yeah. So, and there is no extraneous endeavor that is needed to develop those qualities. Okay, I will end here. It's already 8:50. Thank you all very much. So, so this is these are the 6 practices in bhakti which we have learned. Yeah, utsaha nishchaya dhairya tat tat karma pravartanat sanga tyagat sato vitte shadbhir bhaktir pranash. That is utsaha, enthusiasm, patience, determination, and the regulative principles of bhakti, and avoidance of non-devotee association, and following in the footsteps of great souls. These are the 6 practices. They blossom forth one's bud of devotion. Yes. Shadbhir Bhaktir Pranash. So thank you all very much. Any questions so far? Yes.
Mataji, you mentioned that we should perform the yama and niyamas with enthusiasm, but sometimes it happens that we lose our enthusiasm in our low phases. So at that time, what should we do?
Yeah. So yeah, somebody has asked a very good question. Sometimes our enthusiasm is not high. Yeah. And during those times, what we should do. This is exactly, I mean, this is the autobiography of every sadhaka. Okay, so you're not alone. Okay. But the fact that you have asked this question, I appreciate you very much, because only a sincere practitioner can identify the loopholes or shortcomings one has in their practices. So yes, enthusiasm is something which goes up and which comes down, depending upon many factors. Yeah. So one factor is what to do when we are not enthusiastic in bhakti. So this question was answered by my Guru Maharaj. So Maharaj said that when you are not enthusiastic in bhakti, act enthusiastic. Yeah, act. Internally you're not enthusiastic, but at least act enthusiastic. So when you're acting enthusiastic, Krishna, as the Paramatma in your heart, sees your sincere endeavor, that you're trying to be enthusiastic in bhakti, even though you're not. Yeah, and then Krishna actually blesses you with the true enthusiasm. And it's a tested process, like in your personal practices. Try this, sure, it will definitely work. I can myself say that in my life also, it helps. Yeah, that's why in bhakti there is a very nice quote. Yeah, fake it until you make it. Yeah, like even some devotees say that, Prabhuji or Mataji, I'm not humble. Yeah, internally. Then how do I artificially show that I'm humble? Yeah, we say, please accept my humble obeisances. So we're not so humble inside. Inside we have our own personality. It's not really humble. So does that mean that I go around, showing airs? No. At least act humble. Yeah, because of out of respect for the environment, out of being sensitive to the people around. One has to maintain certain etiquettes. Yeah, to give weightage to that etiquette, one can act humble even if internally one is not feeling humble. So by doing such acts of fake it till you make it, you will eventually really make it. Yeah, like for example, let's say you're sitting in a classroom. Yeah, and for some reason you probably did not sleep well previous night, or you're sitting in a Bhagavatam class, and you have woken up early in the morning, and you're hearing Bhagavatam lecture, and you're feeling very sleepy, and you start yawning. Yeah. So at least the etiquette that is maintained, that can be maintained, is yawn like without anybody seeing, not with the mouth wide open. Because when people see, you like yawning like that, it disturbs the concentration of others, right? I mean, it's a disrespect to the speaker. Yeah. Okay, I may not be enthusiastic, but because of me, people should not get demotivated. So at least these things, these sensitivities one can take care of. Actually, once, it is also said that simply by being enthusiastic in our disposition, if we can inspire people around us, to be enthusiastic in bhakti, that's such a great service we do. Like for example, we go to a temple and there is nice kirtan that is happening. So we enthusiastically dance and inspire others to dance. That is such a great service. Service means not big things. These are the small things. Through our enthusiasm, through our participation. Simply, if we are enthusiastic, it's contagious. We can inspire others also on the path of bhakti. That itself is such a great service. Yeah. So if I'm not feeling enthusiastic, one thing is, number one, you can act enthusiastic. Or second is at least not, bring negative vibes in the community we are in. By certain, as I gave you, there is an example of yawning or anything. Yeah, it's a great disservice. So other thing I said is fake it until you make it, and it's a tested process. Yeah, and another dimension I can tell you is to be enthusiastic in bhakti, be in association of those devotees who have that natural enthusiasm. It makes a lot of difference. And when in that association, we should not become envious. That's another side. Yeah, we go into association of devotees and we become envious. They have made so much advancement and all that. That's another headache. No, take inspiration. No, be positive. When you meet people, this is what is written in Bhagavatam. Yeah, gunadikan mudam lipse guna, anukrosham gunadhama maitrim evan viche nataper abhibhuyate. That is, when you meet a person who is superior to you, in bhakti, one should become very pleased. When one meets people who are equal, they don't boast about themselves, but they take great pleasure in exchanges. Yeah, anukrosham gunadhama. When you meet somebody who's not as qualified as you, then you should show them compassion and not condescend them. Like, hey, no, you're chanting how many rounds? 4. I'm chanting 16. What do you think? You're not, as you better respect me. This is what is called condescending. Should not do that. One should be very compassionate to juniors. They're also practicing, they're also struggling. Let me help them in whichever way I can to come to my level or even much higher than me. And if you meet people who are superior, we should not become envious. They have advanced so much in bhakti. I'm not there, what is this? And if you meet equals, we should not just go about bragging about our own achievements. What I did in life. What all I'm doing, what all are my services. Who I am, the holy thou. I have a halo around me. So this is boasting. Oftentimes people get into boasting because they have some internal insecurity. Yeah. So when we know how to associate with people who are superior to us, who are equal to us, and who are junior to us, we know these dynamics. We are not affected by the tapatraya. Yeah, the threefold miseries of life. So we should know the art of associating with devotees and associate with those devotees who are enthusiastic. And also, one more practice is when we keep our hearing regular, constant, and that will actually very much enhance. Yeah, our sadhana is very directly proportional. We are enthusiastic to practice. So these are some tips. I hope that it will help. Could I answer your question? Haribol, who has asked me? Yeah, okay, yes, okay, yes, fine. And also another aspect is, since you're a healthcare provider, one more thing I can tell you is one should also maintain one's health properly. Yeah, that also can sometimes over endeavor can lead to a fall apart of one's bodily health. And when bodily health is not good, it has an impact on the mind also. So one has to be very balanced in one's practices, especially in the stage of sadhakas. That's what is the definition of a yogi, right? Nidrahara viharasya. Yeah, I'm sorry, yuktahara viharasya. Yeah, not eating too little or eating too much, sleeping too little or sleeping too much. Or one has to do everything in moderation, and one should also have time for oneself. One should, not burn out oneself in services. One should be balanced. One should know when it is getting out of balance in their health of body and mind, and one should try to retain that balance. So a balanced body and mind is a fertile ground for performing consistent bhakti. So that aspect is also very important. Okay. So I'm sure you can guide many others on how to maintain a balanced body and mind, which will be very helpful in the long run. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hari Bol. So we will end the session here.